Hi there, Cosmic Family. My name is Jehlial, and as I have been anticipating, the past week, Pluto is becoming direct in the degree 1 with 22 minutes of Aquarius this October 13th at night in the time of Argentina, but in some other places could be on October 14th. So this symbolizes this great entrance of energy for us in first place because, um, you know, Pluto is stationary, it is not moving from mathematical degree all this week, the whole next week. And that is a moment where we are feeling this a lot. And Pluto is part of this configuration that is on track on the next years, the minor grand trine or grand sextile that is conformed by the three transpersonals, Pluto in Aquarius, Neptune that at the moment is retrograde in Aries, and Uranus retrograde in Gemini. During this year, 2025 and 2026, also Saturn is participating. So Saturn in Aries. Every time that one of them are activated, by other planets or because they are becoming direct or retrograde, in another way, they are doing so the other transpersonal ones, and they rule collective processes, which indicates the great changes that are occurring and that are going to happen, because in a very short amount of time from 2023 till this point, all of them have moved to new signs, and we are going through a Pluto in Aquarius moment because we have a storm beginning here. If you are listening to the thunder. And well, Uranus has still the last passage in Taurus, and Neptune has and Saturn have the last passage in Pisces. We're going to talk about them later. So Pluto is definite in Aquarius until the end of its transit in 2044. And when it becomes direct, we feel it a lot in our individual experience, because the rest of the time when Pluto is not being touched by any planet or luminar, and in 1 week the sign in Scorpio is going to create a square. It is an energy that is moving cycles that are greater than us and that we don't feel that tangible. So we are going to see these days also very clear collective manifestations. Pluto is a planet of depths. It removes aspects in shadow, unconscious, taboos of the individual and society. What many times is rejected, what we don't desire to see, it is related with the power that is exercised from the one place. The place of oneself, but in its imbalance could involve like control. The fear of being controlled by something external represents the transformations, like the necessary death of aspects of the identity, of phases of our lives or dynamics that are allowing a new rebirth. And as it is in Aquarius, a sign involved with the breaking of an old order that can enable a new creative form of inhabiting reality. That's why Aquarius is very related with revolutions. Aquarius is also the symbol of authenticity and the particularity of the fragments of cosmos, the individuals in this planet, in this case. The comprehension that we are experimenting this, being different, in our individuality, having particular characteristics, because each one of us possess a particular function in the material plane, and at the same time all participates of a greater interconnection, a network that is contained by the same cosmos. So if we descend this more to Earth, Aquarius are the collective movements and the people that can be united for a cause. The comprehension that there is no more important role than other, but the part that we are exercising, that each one of us are exercising, are a key in the great network. And that is the reason why it is very important, at least, to be seeking that own function. Because when we are in that genuine seeking, we are already aligning ourselves with the path of the soul. Pluto is the regent, is the ruler of Scorpio, so it has this energy of high intensity, of focalization. And when it has these activations in Aquarius, we could experiment this as moments of acceleration, where disruptive changes can present, or there is this inner movement. Could put in evidence certain fears. In many cases, they are linked with facing these parts of us that are retiring the power of living in authenticity. For example, being choosing a path of life or having to make decisions that perhaps represent something disruptive for certain environments or that is not comprehended by other people. Because we are being called to take paths that respond to that own function and not to continue to adapt to those old forms, that are working in this old paradigm of our lives and of society. Because, that old form is already drained in its evolutionary potential. So there are people that could be dealing with, these fears to approach certain projects of life or certain paths because it is activated the sensation of being excluded, could be of the family, of the society, whatever thing. But truly, it is about understanding that, even those decisions could imply this illusory separation from certain groups or people. They are truly a transformation of mental conditionings that, perhaps they were given, they were giving the sense of belonging, but right now are limiting our evolutionary process in the individual and in the collective. Again, just imagine the revelation of light that the world could have lost in a parallel timeline, if many people that have contributed to our society, scientists, artists, thinkers, people that were in the mysticism, if they weren't assumed this role because they weren't accepted by the people that surrounded them, and many of them transited this. So we have to understand this individual path as a legacy, a light to reveal that exceeds the individual. And when we are choosing to transit that, the soul can also walk forward in the process of returning to the infinite. And this process requires several deaths of identity. In other aspect, this awakening of Pluto could be a moment where the attachments are, exposed. The attachments that we sustain to situations, to people, could be, being retaining something from control, the addiction to drama, sexual attachments, because that is also Pluto, or the fear of losing something with, the consequent suffering that this brings. So for the people that have the courage to face, their own shadows, they have also the possibility to transform them, because there is when we can be in contact with this new form of power over oneself, which is the consciousness, which is putting light, bringing light and dealing with the things that those things are showing us, and also with emotions that those things bring. And to choose from a more conscious space to what do we want to give our energy at this present moment, because those things that we are giving our attention and our energy is what we are co-creating for our lives. But if we are not aware of many of our mental focuses and decisions, how they are manifesting experiences where the soul cannot be free, whether because we are in this prison of obsession, of wanting to control something, or because of the fears that are emerging, Aquarius is inviting us to the freedom, but it is not a freedom that lacks of responsibility. It is a re-evolution in these times, because that occurs through a transformation and an elevation of consciousness. The self-knowledge of the pulses that are moving in our lives, from the roots of many things that we do and how we are acting with other people, that can actually allow the change in oneself, so we can later, create greater social changes. But without this individual transformation, there is no collective evolution. This is very important. And Pluto exposes these aspects that we have the tendency to reject. And, the more denied they are, the more they are going to be projected on the outside in others, in situations that could activate also the instinct of survival, or that they are going to show us parts that we don't like, but we need to integrate it so we can direct that energy in a different way. The other day I was giving this example of manipulation. If someone can manipulate you, if someone can make you react, it is because that person is activating a shadow, a known imbalance. So imbalances are human, We all have them, but the problem is to think that we don't have them and not wanting to see them. And there is when we are projecting, that the other people are the dark ones, the enemies, the bad ones, and we end up giving energy and power to those things. So we can translate these to forms of power that have been created in our society, from the institutional to the more taboo things like trafficking, mafias, the people that have the power in projects that are reflecting the great distortions, but in the end they are being fed by the imbalances of society. And as Aquarius is very related with technology, intelligence, intelligences, it is also about these forms of power that the people that are assuming the leadership of these environments are acquiring right now. So the part that I most care, that I think that is the most important, it is that Aquarius is the power of society, of the whole society, of growing, of revealing light and living in a different way. And we can access to this power reconnecting ourselves in the plane of matter to spirit. This is not about evading, being in a mechanism of evasion of this world through the spiritual, which is the distortion of Neptune, nor losing ourselves in the matter, in the attachment of what we want to achieve, disconnected from the spirit, which is the distortion of Saturn. But we are not there in the critical mass, and we know this because of the manifestations in our world. But each one of us has to do whatever thing we require to find our own path, to recognize our own authenticity, to let go of what we are not anymore, and perhaps letting go of the battles with the people that are not wanting to grow or collaborate, or even they could have intentions of distraction, which is also Pluto, that we cannot control. But if we stop to put energy in those spaces, we are retiring the power that we have given to them, and to center ourselves in projects from what we know how to do, that can actually contribute with this transition to new forms of community in greater consciousness, and also trusting the creative possibilities of life, and understanding that everything that is losing its function, this means that doesn't have anything to teach us anymore, it is going to fall in the right moment according to the higher plan. Thank you, everyone. See you in the next video.